Hi everyone, how are you all doing today? Can you all hear me?
Yes, sir.
So how was your day? What all did you do today? You don't want to share?
I
Yeah. Yes, Siddesh, what did you do?
I went to swimming in the morning.
Super.
Something new. I mean,
New, okay.
from daily routine basically. So I
Yeah.
never get a chance to go. Though it is very near to my place still.
Okay, okay, great. Yeah, we should do some physical activities daily, or else, IT work and all of this.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
Yeah. What about others? Did anybody watch any movies? Played any games?
Read a book,
Great. Which book?
The Kite Runner.
Okay, how is it? I mean, what is it about?
It's basically about a family. Like there's a father and his son, and
Mhm.
they have a servant. So I'm halfway. So like the story is yeah still going on. I'm on chapter 10th, and by then should I reveal it or like
No, that's okay. I mean, I'm just asking, like, what kind of people can read it? Like, maybe see, if you
uh,
ask me, I'll tell you what to read in data analytics and something like that.
okay,
You
yeah, it's
are,
fiction. No, it's fiction.
yeah, okay, okay,
Yeah.
yeah. Even I do read a lot of books, but mostly I read Kannada books.
Okay, cool.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I have read very less English books, but I do sometimes, but I've read very less.
Okay, I'll suggest you one book if you get time. Do read it.
Yeah, please.
It's called Cain and Abel.
Cain and Abel. Okay,
Yeah, it's a fiction book, but you'll get like hooked to it. Like
okay,
it's yeah, the author has kept the suspense so well, like I couldn't stop reading it.
okay, okay.
Yeah,
Let
yeah,
me make a note. I'll
yeah,
read.
yeah, sure.
Yeah. Whenever we meet next time, I'll tell you how was it.
Yeah, sure, sure.
Okay. What about others? Nobody watches movies on weekends? No? Not movie freaks? Okay, I think it's time to get started. So let people join meanwhile. Uh, any questions on yesterday's session? Did you try something new or did you try at least whatever we had done yesterday? Any questions there? No questions?
Yeah, hello. So I have a small doubt.
Yeah,
So yesterday, like we change null values to USA, right?
correct.
So in that we used conditional columns. So we had like if zip code equal to Karnataka, let's say for example, we need to fill that it with India, right? But
Mhm.
what if any other zip code is null? So we will have to write many conditions in that case, right?
Now that's what I'm saying. See, if you take a zip code, it's very granular level, right? So when I say granular or granularity, it is a very base data unit. Okay. So you
Yes.
have to find something bigger so that you can cover a lot of
Yeah, exactly.
rows. For example, in that case, we had 15,000 records, right? 15,000 plus 10,000,
Yes.
20, almost 25, 30,000 records. So you should find some condition where you might apply that condition for more records, maybe with 4 5 conditions, or yeah, 4 5 conditions, you should be able to fulfill all that. So
Okay.
that's how the condition you should find.
Okay, fine, got it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but anyway, this since we had this as the test data, so there are no other condition you can match there actually, but in real times that won't be a scenario. You will not have so many null records also, because the source system itself would have been built so sophisticated that you'll get very less errors there. So that should not be an issue. But even if you have something like that, there will be a lot of columns. As I said, there'll be hundreds of columns in one data set.
Okay, got it.
Okay, so you will find some correlation to apply as many rows as possible with fewer conditions.
Okay, got it, got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also like to make dashboards and stuff in Power BI, we cannot apply something like principal component analysis or like we cannot reduce the dimensions, right? The columns.
I didn't get your question. Can you come again? Make it little
So,
elaborated.
like I'm learning data science. So in that, what happens when we have too many numbers of columns, we apply an algorithm called principal component analysis.
Hmm.
So this basically reduces the columns without losing much of information. So yeah, we can effectively apply further algorithms so that we have lesser data and we conserve resources basically. So we can't do that in Power BI, right?
No,
Because we
you
need.
can no, you can do that everywhere. See, for example, there we had null values, okay, for entire USA. If
Mhm.
you want to reduce few columns, right?
Yes.
Maybe let's say you want to get rid of country column itself. Let's say you
Okay.
don't want to do any analysis based on the country column.
Mhm.
Okay, but it's very hypothetical, but I'm saying, so if you delete that, or let's say based on some condition you delete a column based on, let's say there are 6 columns, right? You will see which column has more null value, so that it won't give me better result when I'm analyzing. So if you
Okay.
take that condition, your country column has more null values.
Right.
If you remove country column,
Mm-hmm.
so you can easily remove that. You can apply that principle here also. You can remove it. But after removing, what impact it will make is important, right? There also, when you apply that principle and that
Right.
algorithm, you should
Okay.
be careful. It is not that just because you want to reduce some columns, you will not be able, you should not be removing any column.
Actually in Python, the system does it on its own. Like we have to write a code of line and it will check the correlation and stuff. And I won't be able to explain you entire
I
thing,
got
but
it. I got the
yeah,
correlation thing and all, I know.
yes,
But yeah, so that correlation you can do it here also, because as I said, Power BI supports Python. You can
right,
write that piece of code in here as well, and you can find the correlation between the columns, and then you can remove that. And there is also some limit, right? If the correlation is lesser than this, we'll consider that this column is not significant, and if it is more than this, we'll consider this as significant, and based on that, we'll remove.
right,
But that will also not be 100% correct, right?
yes,
Python will just give you the correlation between the columns. What
mm-hmm.
if the column which has very less record, which is significant to your business? For example, correlation to that particular column is what it is lesser. What
Right,
if it is giving you some other meaningful information?
okay,
Even if the correlation is lesser, you will have to keep that, right?
yes,
So that's how it is. I mean, it is there everywhere.
okay, yeah,
But yeah, it is just that how you handle that and how you
yeah.
implement.
And also I feel like in Power BI, our end user should be able to understand the dashboard. Like in Python, we feed it to the like the next algorithm. So no one is like, no, there's no human to
Correct.
consume that. In
Correct.
Power BI, like people should understand it, isn't it?
Yeah, so that is the difference between this data scientist and data analyst, right? So
Yeah,
data scientists are more towards predicting the outcome, future
yeah,
outcome,
exactly. Yes,
right? So whereas data analysts will analyze the existing process or the existing issues
yes,
so that you
exactly.
can improve your process on the go.
Mm-hmm.
That is the difference. So yeah, I mean, see, there are earlier when I started working on data and databases, there used to be only one role as database developer,
Right.
and there used to be one admin role, just 2 roles, and the
Okay.
database developer had to do everything,
Mm-hmm.
like loading the data. He had to do the data engineer job, then database developer job, querying, then creating the reports,
Mm-hmm.
everything.
Right.
And of course, machine learning and all of that were not there earlier, but
Yes.
they were there, but not so much prominent. So people were not using. So everything one person had to do. Now in data itself, database field itself, there are 8, 9 roles, like data engineer, database analyst, database data scientist,
Right.
then machine learning engineer, administrator, business analyst.
Right. Yes.
There's so many subcategories now, and even
Right.
the jobs also are based on these. I mean, they have been already segregated, and people are working on specific things now.
Yes.
So yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, so if you do not have any further questions, let's get started. Let me share my screen. So we had loaded data yesterday. How many of you did open the file which I had shared yesterday and worked on it? No one? Okay, so now let's see what can we do with this data, right? So we have this data, we have already modeled it and not modeled, in fact. So we have loaded this data, we have transformed the data according to our reporting needs. Okay, so now if I go to the data view here, you can see all the data that we have. Now if I go to the model view, which is also called as relationship view, you see Power BI has created some relationship between few data sets automatically. Okay, so if the data is correct, there are some there are few what to say conditions it will check, or few parameters it will check. If that satisfies, it will automatically create a relationship. So if not, so we'll have to correct it and then create that. So we'll come to that in a while, but this is what we have currently. Okay, so now let's start with the visuals. Let's first start with a very basic visual here. Okay, the very basic visual that we have here is this one, card visual. Have you heard of card visual, anyone? Okay, it is a very simple visual. What it will do is it will just show one data field value. Like for example, if you want to see the total revenue of your entire organization for a particular year, or for including all the years, you want to get a total revenue or total number of units sold, it will just take one data field as an example, data field as an input, and it will show that value. So how do we add the visual here to this canvas, report canvas? You just come here, click on this visual. It is in the 4th row, 5th visual. If you see 6 visuals in one row, if at all you drag it, it will become only 2-3 rows, right? So I'm saying if you have something like this, the default view, if you have, there will be 6 visuals in one row. In that, it is the now one moment, I think. Yeah, we have default view, and this is the 5th visual in the 4th row. Just click on it. Just click on the visual. It will give you the skeleton of that visual here. Okay, so you can make it big, small, as I've showed yesterday, right? Let's say, let me make it this small. If you see here, now I have not selected this visual. I'm just clicking here outside, and you see there is nothing. It says values add fields here or something it is showing. Okay, if I click on this, you see it changes that fields. I mean, here the values that you see here will be shown for this visual. So whatever field you add here will be visualized in this visual in a graphical way. So now, for example, here I have sales. Let's say I'll bring this revenue to here. How do you bring? Just drag and drop here. What it says? Instantly, it is showing you the total revenue which is generated. Of course, there are many manufacturers and different years of data we have, but it's a total revenue, which is 15.72 million. And it says here the name sum of revenue. Okay, by default, it will take the sum. If at all you add any numeric column, it will do a sum of it by default. If you want to change, you see here there is a drop down. If you click on this drop down, you see other different mathematical operations like average, minimum, maximum, count, distinct, and count, standard deviation, variance, median, all of this. Okay, and also if you want to change the name of this field, it is now sum of revenue, correct? If you want to change it to just the revenue or the total revenue, you can just right click and click on this rename for this visual. That means actually the field name will be revenue here, but here for this visual, it will be changed. Either you can right click and click on this rename for this visual, or just double click on it. And here, change change it to, I'll call it as total revenue and hit enter. Now it is changed here as well. Okay, so this is how it is a very simple visual. But even though it is very simple visual, but it will give you very good insights of your business, right? Like for example, now I have just the total revenue. Let me create one more. You can also copy paste these visuals here. How do you copy paste? Select Control C, Control V. Okay, with the field you have already fed into it earlier, with that it will create a copy of this visual, but now you can change the field here. I'll now change it to units. Maybe I call it as total units. This is the revenue sold, revenue generated, and these are the 53K units sold. Okay, so like this, let's say you want to also see how many products you have for a particular region, for a particular country. Currently, we do not have any filter here in this, but it will just show the total units. Okay, let's say total units or the total products. If I want to see how many products I have, and also you want to see how many distinct products you have. Okay, I'll show you what is the difference. Let's say we have this product. Let me just copy and paste it. Control C, Control V, and see whenever you're adding, so it will show this guidelines. So you can make use of them also to align these properly. So now instead of units, I'll add the product ID. If I just add the product ID here, what it is doing? Earlier it was doing sum. Now it is doing count. Okay, it will just show you the total count of the products, how many products you have. Let me copy and paste it again. And now instead of count, I'll do a distinct count. Okay, so here it is same because we have the distinct values only. So let's say, let me bring this product value from the sales table. Instead of product table, I'll bring it from the sales table. Here also. Okay, so these many product IDs are there. Okay. For this is count of product. I'll change this to count of distinct count of products. You see now? And it will also make sense to add one more. Don't worry, don't get confused. I'll explain it again. I'll bring product ID for this. Distinct count. Product sold. Total number of products. It is just the count of total sold products. Okay. See here, as I said, even though these are just a simple visuals, just show one field's data, either in sum, average, or whatever. This is the total revenue that we have generated from all the sales, and these are the number of units sold. How many units? 53,000 units are sold. Okay, then this is the count of total sold products. That means let's say this number is lesser than this, right? That means some of the products are sold multiple times. Okay. And this one, it is the number of total products that we have. How many? 2,412 products we have, total products, including all the manufacturers. Whereas out of these products, how many are sold? Only 739 products are sold. Are you getting this point? Maybe I'll remove this. This is a little confusing. Does it make sense? Are you getting this point? What is the difference between this count and the count distinct? Yes, no, confusing?
Yeah, it makes sense, but one question.
Yeah.
Earlier, you removed the 51.5K product. That and 53K should match, I guess.
No, that might not match, right? Because one product you would have purchased 2 times. Maybe you will purchase 2 phones at a time, but the product ID is same.
Yeah, that 739 is these are the unique product ID, so which are purchased multiple times, but in different countries. Then ultimately the 739 we are getting the total as 53K because that many times the 739 products are sold.
No. Don't get confused with the product ID and the units sold. Product ID is the ID of the product. Unit sold is how many of those products you have purchased. Even though if you see, we have a total 2,412 products, total products, okay, in our entire warehouse for all these manufacturers. Okay, out of those, only 737 are sold. That means because I'm taking this product, if you see this column product ID, I'm taking from the product table. Okay, and this I'm taking from the sales table. That means you will get only the products which are sold. And also this is the unique of those product IDs. Okay, so only 739 products are sold, but these products are sold so many times. If you divide this by this, I mean the 53K by this, you will get to know on an average how many units per product are sold.
I had this quick doubt. I couldn't understand how did we get the products sold.
You didn't get.
Yeah, I didn't get it.
Okay. You got these 2 points, right? Like the total revenue and the total units sold.
Yeah, I got all of it other than the last one, the product sold. Yeah.
Okay. See, this product table,
yeah,
it will have all the products which are being manufactured by these 14 manufacturers that we have.
definitely.
Okay, so that is 2,412 products, this one.
Yeah.
Okay, we have taken the product count from here. But this one, we have taken this product ID from here. Out of these 2,412, whatever have been sold, only those are tracked in the sales table, right?
Yeah.
So whatever product is sold, only that product's ID is entered into that sales table. Okay. Or in the sales record. That is why when you take a count, distinct count of product IDs in the sales, you will get this number. Of course, if you do not take distinct, you just take a count. So there are 30-40,000 records, right? So you'll get 30-40K, something like that.
Yeah.
So that's what it is.
Okay.
Okay.
So I have to select count distinct.
Count distinct if you want to get the distinct values.
Now I got it.
Yeah. Okay. And now this is showing million. This is showing case. Right? Thousands, right? So you can also change that. Now it is showing 2 decimal points here. If you click on this, and this is the build visual section. Then that's where you see all the fields and all of that. Next to that, we have something called format your visual. So you can format your visual, you can beautify it. If I click on this, you'll see there are two options. One is general formatting options, the other one is visual level formatting options. This general formatting options will be same for all the visuals, any visual you take. For example, if you go to the properties here, what we have, size of it, height, width. You can also lock the aspect ratio. It is turned off now. If I turn it on, you cannot ideally, one moment, it should lock this aspect ratio. Even though if you drag like this, it has to expand something like this only. But I'm not sure what is this, why it is happening this way. Okay, let me come to that later. But what I was saying was, these formatting options, the general formatting options are general to any visual you take for that matter. For example, here we have the size, and I was showing the position. Padding is how much space you want to leave between this and this line, this number and this line, right? So all the 4 places. And we have some advanced options. So, and we have something called a title. Like title is off, you don't see title now. If I turn it on, there is no title here. If I give, for example, test title, so you can give title, and also you can change the font here or the size of the font like this, right? You can change, you can make it bold, italic, you can change the color of it. Let's say you want to give blue color to it, you can do that, right? So this is title. Subtitle, if you want to give any subtitle, you can give that also. Let's say I type subtitle, and of course you can change the color and all of that for this also. Let's say, let me change this to this color. Okay, so like that, like if you go to the effects here, there is no background color to this, right? So if now it is white, of course the background is enabled, but it is white color. If you want to change it to something like this, or maybe to this, right? So you can do that. You can also change the transparency. See, if you make it, you can make it less transparent, something like that. Then you have something called visual borders. You can add border to the visual. Right, you can add shadow. Now we don't have any shadow. If you click on this, it will add shadow to this visual. Also, you can change the shadow color and all of that. Okay, and we have something called tooltip. We'll come to that later. So like this, these are all the general formatting options of the visual, and these are there for every visual, like the title, the effects, and all of this, background color and all of this, you can give to every visual. But there are some options, formatting options, which are visual specific. For this visual, if you take, let me turn off the title for it. Okay. If you take for this visual, there are only 2 options here. One is call out value and the category label. If I turn off the category label, see whatever name we are seeing here will disappear. And also you can change the color of that format and all of that you can change here. And there is something called call out value. Call out value is what we see here. This one, 15.72 million. There is something called display units. It is automatically set now. It is set as auto based on how much data you have. It will automatically take either million, billion, trillion, thousand, hundreds, something like that, if you keep it as auto. But you can also change it to these. For example, if I make it 1000, you see it is now showing 15,723K. If I change it to billions, it says 0.02 billion. So you can change your display value according to your need. If you keep it none, it will just show all the value. Okay, so let's keep it auto for now. So we're good with like this, but I just want to show you how we can change this. And also if you want to see, now you're seeing this value in 2-digit, right? Decimal points are 2-digit. What if you want to see more precise value? Maybe you want to see 3-digit, 4-digit. So now it is auto. If I give 3, so now you will see 3-digit value. If you can keep on increasing it, 4-digit, 5-digit. So based on how precise value you want to see, you can also increase this, increase or decrease. See, if I make 0 decimal, it will round off to 16 million. Okay, so let me keep it 2-digit. And for this, if you come to this, see here also we have 53.26K. Here, of course, you will get the round figure only because that's just the count and distinct count. Make sense? So now this call out value color, it is dark. Maybe I'll make it white so that it will appear like this. And category color also, I'll make this as maybe.
Can we move category at the top of the number?
Sorry?
Can we move the category at the top instead of bottom?
No, you can't move it. There is no option. It will be below the number only. But if you want to show it in the beginning, you can just add a title and you can disable this.
Got it.
Let me. Okay, and we also added border to it, right? Let me remove the border. No, that is not required. Okay, so now this looking like this. So now if you want to do the same thing to these also, you have to again click here and go to this formatting options and you can do all this. But there is one option, like we have the format painter in the Excel or Word, right? So similarly, you just select this, go to the format painter, then click on it. It will apply that formatting to the next visuals which you click on. Cool. Maybe you can change the color of this if you do not want to keep all of these color the same. Now it is blue. I'll make it dark blue. Let's see, like this. Something like this. Okay. Okay, so before we move further, can you quickly try this so that you'll just get some hands-on this, like how to drag and drop this and how to move around, how to add fields.
Praveen, if I want to add some, currency symbol, like for example, IN or a dollar symbol in that revenue, how would we do?
Okay, if you want to add currency symbol, you need to go to the data here. Here under the sales, you have this revenue. Here, if you see, this is decimal number and the format is general. Okay. You make it currency and it will automatically take dollar. And if you want to change it to something else, you can change from here, like whichever country you are in. Now, if I go back to the visual, you should see that. Okay.
Okay.
Go to the data, go to that field where you have that sales. In my case, click on that. If you click on that, then only these column tools will enable. If I click on tables, you will not see that. You need to click on a column, then only the column tools section will get, a tab will get enabled. There you need to change the format to currency and then choose the currency which you want.
So where did you get this card from?
Here, this one, 1, 2, 3, where you see 1, 2, 3, this is the card visual.
Got it.
And next to that, there is one more multi-row card. Okay, so here in this card, we just add only one value. It will take only one field. In the multi-row card, it will take multiple fields. Okay, you can export that later. How do you label? How do you update the label text? Click on the visual. Go to this middle section, which is format your visual. Click on that. Go to the callout value. Callout value is what the value that you see here. And if you want to change the name of this, the total revenue, that is your category label. So if you want to change that, you can change that from here. You make it bold. Okay, if you're done, let's move ahead. How did you update the label text? Not formatting, I mean text. So this one, okay, here, the field. Here, right click, rename for this visual, this option, or just double click on it. Okay, next, let me add one more visual, which is, let me take this axis visuals, x-axis, y-axis visual. Here, if you see, in the first and second row, we have this x-axis and y-axis visuals. This is a stacked bar chart. This is stacked column chart, clustered bar chart, clustered column chart, and 100% stacked bar chart and 100% stacked column chart. Let me take this. So whenever you're taking the new visual, right? So you need to click somewhere outside here. You should not select any of these visuals. For example, if you select this visual and you click on this new visual, the selected visual itself gets changed to what you select here instantly. Okay, so that's why you should not select any visual when you want to add new visual. You should click somewhere outside so that you have not selected anything, then click on a visual. The visuals skeleton will appear here.
I just want to check, did you click on Control Z in order to come back to the screen, or how did you come back?
Come back where?
Sorry, you selected mistakenly in the product sold, and then if I think you have done Control Z, right?
Control Z, yeah. To
Okay,
revert back
okay.
here in the Power BI desktop, Control Z works. In the Power Query editor, it doesn't work. You need to delete the step there in order to go back to the previous step.
Okay.
Yeah. Now to this, let's say I want to see the revenue again. Let me add. If you now notice, earlier I just had only one field here for these visuals, right? So if I click on this visual, here you see now I have x-axis, y-axis, legend, small multiple, tool tips, and there are different options. And even if you go to this format your visual option here, okay, since there is no data is there, so formatting option is not showing. I'll come to this after I add the data here. So let's say I want to see the revenue in the y-axis, just drag and drop. And even if you just click on this check box, right, checkbox, just click on this checkbox, it will automatically take it to the y-axis, because since I've clicked the numeric value, it knows that it has to be shown in the y-axis. Either you can, easy ways, we generally just drag and drop wherever we want, but you can also click on that. Okay, this is the total revenue that I'm seeing. If I want to see this revenue by manufacturer, where do I have manufacturer? Here I have. And I want to keep manufacturer in the x-axis so that it will show like this. So for these, all of these manufacturers, I see this is the revenue. Okay. And now if I go to this format your visual option, you see the general options are same, title, effects, and all of that, effects, header, and all of that. The visual level formatting options have changed. Now we have x-axis, y-axis, right? Legend, grid lines, zoom slider, and all of that. Okay, and also here in the x-axis, if you go, you can turn off the x-axis. You can turn, if you turn off the x-axis, you don't see the x-axis values. If you turn it on, you can change the color, you can make it bold, you can increase the font size, you can make it italic. All of this you can do. Okay, and title, of course, here you see manufacturer title. If you want to keep, you can keep it, or you can turn off that x-axis title. And you notice we had some null values in the manufacturer ID yesterday. So that is what is this blank. So even if we had not changed the null value for the USA, we would see something like this as blank with a lot of data. Okay. Of course, for the y-axis also, we have the similar thing. Here, title we have. If you want, you can keep, or you can remove that. You can make it bold, something like this. But for the y-axis, keeping the title makes sense because maybe by seeing these values, x-axis values, you understand that these are the manufacturers. But by seeing these numbers, maybe it's a revenue, but it could be your expenses also. And since there is a currency symbol, so it makes sense to add a title there. Sorry, y-axis. Give me a moment. Yeah. Change it to maybe revenue. And make it bold, something like that. Okay. And now whenever I hover my mouse, can you see? On these columns, I see some values. This gray bubble I see, and inside that bubble, I see the manufacturer and the sum of revenue for that manufacturer. Why I see sum of revenue? Because here I have not renamed the revenue field. That is the reason. After renaming, you need to hit enter. Then only it will take effect there. Vanessa Dell is a manufacturer, and how much? Around $789,000, I think. Right, so that is what is the Vanessa Dell revenue, and this is Pyram arrow. So this gray bubble, what we see, is called as the tooltip. Okay, so now automatically in this tooltip, whatever fields we have supplied as an input to this visual will be automatically shown there. Now we have given manufacturer to the x-axis and revenue to the y-axis, and that is what it is showing. What if you also want to see a few more metrics without even adding them to this visual? So that is when we have this tooltip. Let's say if I add units here, and I call this as total units. Now if I hover my mouse on this, along with the revenue, now I also see the total units sold for each of those manufacturers. Like that, you can add as many columns as you want. For example, I want to add the product also, and I want to see maybe the distinct products which are sold. Unique products. Distinct count, right? Now, along with the units, total units, you will also see unique products as well. Vanessa Dell has sold 320 products. Here it is 76 products, something like that. So you can add as many fields as you want to this field, so that without bringing them here in the visual, you can just get more insights on your data. Okay, and now if you want to see this revenue value here itself in the field itself, if you click on the visual, go to this formatting options. Here we have something called data labels. Turn it on. Now you see the values. And if you expand this, there are different options. Okay, like for all for the entire series you want to show or only for a few things, but by default it is for all. And the orientation now is it's horizontal. If you want to change it to vertical, see the values will be shown vertically like this. And the position is there are different positions. Like if you keep auto, automatically wherever it finds the place, it will fit in. Here in this case, it is put inside, and here it is outside. But you can change that inside the end, outside the end, outside center, inside center. Sorry, inside center, inside base, and all of that. You can change this. You can export these values anyway later. And if you go to the values, you can also make these like bold, or you can change the colors for these. Right, and here also we have the display unit. So wherever we have these values, right, so you will have this display unit. Now let's say you don't want to see in millions, maybe you want to see in thousands, so you can change it like this. And decimal places again, maybe here you don't want to see the decimal points. Maybe you want to see the round figure. You can add like this. And of course, you can have the background color for this thing also, these values also. And now you can change the background color as well. Okay, but I don't want to add that. So like this, there are so many formatting options. So you can explore this. I'm not going to cover all of this, but just to show one more, if you go to the columns here, by default, the color is this, right? You're seeing this blue color. If you want to change the color to maybe, let's say, this color, or maybe a little darker, this color, you can see, change it. You can also change it to individual column. If you click on now, it is show all is turned off, right? If you turn it on, see for individual category also you can change the color. You just go here, change the color. It'll, for example, if I change this to this, see, you can change like this. Okay. And also here you right next to this, some of the options you see this FX option. What it says conditional formatting, make this property change under different conditions that you define. So you can, if you click on this, like we had the conditional column yesterday in the Power Query editor, here also you can specify your conditions. Based on the condition, you can decide which color this column should show. Very simply, if I have to show, let's say it is gradient format. You can also, you have these three different options: gradient, rules, and field. I'll show this gradient, sum of the revenue I want to show. And if it is lowest value, let's say I want to show the lowest value in red color and the highest value in green color. Okay, if you want, you can add a middle color also, yellow, but yeah, let me add that. Let me add yellow color. Okay, click OK. Can you see now? Automatically, wherever you have the lowest value, it is showing in red, and wherever you have the highest value, it is showing in green. And the middle values are showing in this yellow, and then amber it is getting, and it is becoming red. Let me change this visual to bar chart so that we can see these values also. See, changing the visual from one visual to another visual is very simple. Just select that visual and click on the visual which you want to change it to. Can you see? Or maybe let's say I'll click on pie chart. See, this is how simple it is. Make sense? And here, as soon as I add that conditional formatting option, you will see this revenue, like this indicator. Maximum, what is your maximum value, what is your median value, and what is your lowest value, and the color indication based on that. Okay, clear on this? Any questions here?
So the revenue, the y-axis, what is that? It's not sum, right?
It's sum.
When I selected as sum, then I'm getting 15.7M for all the
What is the call this thing you have added? Like in the x-axis, what have you added?
x-axis manufacturer and y-axis sum of revenue.
That is what even I also have, right? So this is manufacturer from the manufacturer table.
Yeah.
Ah.
And in revenue, you also have your product ID and units. Okay.
No, I added these units and product ID in the tooltip, right? Here, this one.
Okay.
But here in the x-axis and y-axis, I've just added only these two values. In the y-axis, I've added the revenue, and in the x-axis, I've added the sorry, in the x-axis, I've added the manufacturer, and in the y-axis, I've added the revenue.
Yeah, but I see 15.7 across the.
Okay, if you click on this, do you see something like this?
Yeah.
Do you see the connection between the manufacturer and product like this and the sales like this, 3 tables?
Oh no, I think
No,
that is
right?
what.
Yeah, so somewhere it has gone wrong with your transformation or something there. That is the reason. I'll come to that point why that is showing like that to you.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, now this is clear, right? So tooltip, okay, so someone is asking, explain tooltip again. See, tooltip is whenever I hover my mouse on these columns, right? Now I am hovering my mouse on this green column. When I hover, you see this gray bubble where you see the manufacturer is Vanasadal, revenue is 78,000 something, whatever, and total units is 15,268, unique product is 320. This is called as the tooltip. Okay, it will just give you the information about that particular column wherever you hover your mouse on. Okay, that is what it is. So by default, whatever columns you add to this visual, for example, in the x-axis, I add the manufacturer, and y-axis, I add the revenue. By default, it will only show those two, manufacturer and revenue. But if you want to see more metrics, you have to add those columns here in the tooltip section. Clear? Now,
Sir, one moment.
Yeah.
Is there a way we can add a line on this bar chart where, like, if you want to set some benchmark that below this line we don't want to deal with any of the seller? Let's say for 1 million, below 1 million, we don't want to do.
You can add that. You can add that.
Okay, so how do we do that?
You can add that. We'll come to that later. So here, if you go, there is something called add further analysis to your visual. So, okay. So here you have all those average line. You have
okay, cool.
Min line, max line, all of that you have. You can add that, but I leave that to you to explore because that is a different. It itself will take another 2-3 hours.
Okay,
to explain
fine.
all of that. But it is there. It is possible.
Okay.
Okay, so now let's say I want to for this particular manufacturer, let's say I want to see this information in different categories. For example, let's say I also want to see this manufacturer Vanasadel, how much product it has sold for each category. Let's say we have the category in product, right? So if we add this category to the legend here, can you see? Let me make it a bar chart so that it will. Since we have very lesser values for these manufacturers, so they are not showing properly. Okay, let me keep it this way. You see here, Vanasadel, now it is split into these 4 categories. If I hover my mouse on this blue column, now it also says the category, which is rural category. Your 78,000 whatever dollar we had is now split into these 4 categories. So see here, in the urban category, it has made this much of sales, and in the rural category, it has made this much of sales, and in this category, youth category, it has made this much of sales. Okay, like this, you can add different categorical values in your visuals so that you can get more insights, more information from your data. Okay, so for simplicity, let me just delete this one. revenue, this one legend one. I just wanted to show you that. There is also something called small multiple. If I add the category to the small multiple instead of the legend, let's say I add it to the small multiples. Now what is happening? How many unique categories you have in that category field? Your single visual is now split into 4 visuals. See, it is just the same column chart only, but this shows data only for the mixed category, and this shows data only for the rural category. This is for the urban category, and this is for the youth category. And here you have your manufacturer. So Vanacedel, in the urban category, this is the sales. But whereas in the mixed category, there is no sales for the Vanacedel. Here, Vanacedel, this is youth category. In youth category, it has only this much of revenue. In the rural category, it has this much of revenue. For example, instead of category, let's say if I add subcategory for that matter, now we have, I think, 7, 8 categories. Now our single visual is split into 8 small visuals within a single visual. That is what is the small multiple. Okay. Just to show these values properly, let's say, let me add, instead of manufacturers, let's say I'll add country. That will give you a better idea, like better picture of that data. This is how we have country and then the revenue. If I add category to the legend, in each country, now you see 4 categories of data. If I add this legend to the small multiple, your single visual is now split within as 4 individual visuals for each of those categories, and it is showing the value. What can you get from this visual? If you notice, all of these manufacturers have made more sales in these countries in urban category. Comparatively, urban and rural, there is more sale, whereas in the mix and youth category, there is less sales. Make sense? Okay, so let me remove this from the small category. Let's just keep it for the simplicity. Only this much. Okay, can you try this quickly?
For me also, sum of revenue is showing same for all the manufacturers.
We'll come to that. I'll tell you why it is.
So because of that,
something.
because of that, I'm not able to concentrate on these things.
Leave manufacturer, no, take country. Take country from the sales table. Now you're taking manufacturer from the manufacturer data set, right? Now just take the country and then the revenue from the sales. Then you will see it properly.
Can you just show me once again the color formatting?
Okay. You click on the visual, go to the format your visual, and here you have this columns option. And here earlier it was just the color. Now since we have added this formatting FX, you'll see the color, and next to that you see FX. Click on that FX, and here select for the minimum lowest value. I've selected the red. For the highest value, I've selected the green. It is not the proper red. I'll select the proper red color.
Because I tried same thing in the x-axis column formatting, so I was asking for a value.
Now, did you get it now?
Yeah, it's clear.
Yeah.
I'm unable to add legend like more fields to that. That has been giving me a problem.
To the legend, no, to the legend you can add more. You cannot add more fields, right? That doesn't make sense also, because in USA, you can just add one more category to split USA into different categories. In USA, what are the sales for different categories? But if you add one more, how will you interpret? In that category, the again subcategory. For example, let's say I add category here. Let's say I want to add subcategory also to it.
No, I
It'll
can't
only-
turn on the legend only. I can't like how you are there was only revenue, but then you added product ID and the units. Switching on the tooltip, I cannot do it only. Yeah.
Why? You should be able to do it. This is the same data which I have shared to you also.
Okay,
Like what is there any error it is giving, or what is it?
it's not giving any error. I have no clue why it's not doing it. I think I missed a step or something. That's the whole reason there's some confusion.
Just redo it. See, go to a new page. Let's try try it in the new visual. Just delete that existing visual. What you have, delete it.
Right.
Okay. Then click on this visual column chart.
Yeah.
Then to this, simply just add country to the x-axis and revenue to the y-axis.
Okay.
This is what you see.
Yes.
And then if you hover your mouse on this, you see this is the legend. Now you add units to tooltip. Now you see units also here. And
Yeah.
if you want to see the product ID, add product ID.
Got it. I got it now. Yes. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Now let's see. Let me copy this visual. Copy it. And also, of course, you can add the formatting to this also. I mean, you can add the background color to this also. You can add the shadow so that it will pop out like this. And you can also change the shadow direction and all of that. So let me just keep it at this for now. Let me copy it. Click on Control C. You can also, I'll do it in new page. Paste it. You can also copy paste visuals from one page to another page. Okay. Now I'll show you something interesting. We have added country from here, right? So it is properly showing the data. Okay. Now let me remove this x-axis from this one, sales. We have the country from geography also, right? So let me add country from this geography. This is what everybody is seeing. If I add this country from the geography column, what is happening? It is just showing the same value for all the country. What is the issue?
We haven't established. Yeah, exactly.
So if you see here, go to the relationship view. I've taken sales value, revenue from the sales, whereas country from the geography. But there is no connection between these two data sets. That is the reason what it is doing. If I have to decode it, let's say I just added the revenue first, like it did the sum of the revenue for this card visual. It did the same thing here also. You see, this is the total revenue, 15.72 million. Okay. But when I add the new category to this, like some irrelevant category, for example, country in that case, it is just because I'm adding the different 7 countries information, it is just showing the same value in 7 different fields, like as 7 different columns. It is not actually filtering the data for each of those countries. Okay. And since we have added the color formatting, it is showing green for all. Okay. Now, what we have to do, if you notice these things, relationship between these data sets, let's say if I hover my mouse on this line, manufacturer ID is highlighted. That means the relationship is created between manufacturer and product based on a manufacturer ID. That means manufacturer ID is a common column between these two tables or these two data sets. Similarly, between the product and the sales, if I hover my mouse on this, it has created relationship between product and sales based on the product ID, because product ID is the common column between these two. Okay, and if you also notice, you see these numbers here, 1 and star, 1 and star here. This is called as cardinality. In database terms, we call it as cardinality. Cardinality means CARDINALITY. Okay, cardinality. So what it means is, if you see, there are 4 cardinalities: one to many, one to one, one to many, many to many, and many to one. Okay, so in this case, it is one to many. So what this signifies is that for every one value in manufacturer data set, we have multiple values in the product table. If I have to say it in a layman word, one manufacturer can manufacture multiple products. That is when the manufacturer ID is unique in this one manufacturer here, but here it can be duplicated based on the product ID. For one manufacturer ID, we can have hundreds of products, right? So that's what it signifies. For every one manufacturer, we have multiple products. Similarly, for every one product, we can have multiple sales. Make sense? That is what it is. That is what a one-to-many relationship. Okay. Here, whereas here also, why do you think that the relationship is not created between the sales and geography? Because here also we have country and here also we have country. And even here also we have zip and here also we have zip.
Because geography is odd one out. Product, sales, and manufacture is correlated.
How is it odd one?
There is no unique differential key between these.
Unique?
No, not unique. It's a no differential key between these. Except the country. But country is not unique in any of it.
Yeah, that is correct. Actually, country is not unique, because since we have zip as the lowest level in the granularity, for every zip code which is repeating, your country name will also repeat, right? Right? So if I have, let's say, 5,000 zip codes, so we just have 7 countries, right? So almost 700 times or 800 times your country is being repeated for all those zip codes in that country. So that is the reason it has not created the relationship between the geography and sales. Okay, so what are the criteria for Power BI to create this relationship automatically? First one is the column name should be same. If you notice this, these two and these two, but the column names between these two data sets are same. Column name has to be same, and the columns data type also has to be same between two data sets. Okay, and third one, also the values should be same. Same as in here, if I have manufacturer ID 1, and here also I should have manufacturer ID 1. Here I have manufacturer ID 10, and here also I should have manufacturer ID 10. That means the related value I should have in both the data set. That is the point number 3. And point number 4, there should be at least one data set where there should be unique values in that joining column. Okay, like in the manufacturer ID, it will have unique values. And here in the product table, if you take the product ID, which has the unique values. So between these two, product ID and manufacturer, in the manufacturer table, manufacturer ID is unique. Between sales and product, in the product table, the product ID is unique. Whereas here, the country is repeating. Even if I try to create relationship between these two, how do we create relationship? So once you are here in the model view, click on these relationships. You can click on new, and here you can select your tables. For example, here I need to select sales and country, and here select geography and then select the country, and then click OK to create relationship. This is one way. Or simply you can just click on that column, hold, drag and drop it on the column which you want to create relationship. Right? So it will take you to the same window. Even the country column is selected here and country column is selected here also. And the warning it is giving us, what it is saying, this relationship has cardinality many to many. This should only be used if it is expected that neither column, like country column from the geography and country column from the sales, contains unique values, and that the significantly different behavior of many to many relationship is understood. So it is, what it is essentially saying is, there is no unique value between these two data sets. Okay, now just notice this here, but it is just a warning. It will still let you create that relationship. So if you drag and drop here, it is giving this warning. So okay, we are fine with this warning. Click OK. It created. Now if you notice, many to many relationship it has created. Now if I go to this, now my report, my visual is automatically corrected like this one. Okay, so why this is wrong? This relationship, let's say now I have taken the country. Okay, for country it is showing fine. What if I take the state? What is happening? Again, for all the states in that country, it is showing the same value. You see, the state name is changing, but the value is same. And here for this country, see, for all the states, it is showing the same value for that country, whatever value that we had for the country. 175K. So go here, 175K for Mexico. And here for all the states in Mexico, it is showing 175K. So what do we understand by this? Most important point. Now we have created the relationship at the higher level hierarchy, at the country level. Okay, so it is filtering data only at the country level. If you add one level below that hierarchy, maybe the state or the city, right, or the zip, it will not be able to filter data for that because there is no relationship at that level. It is at the higher level. So we need to create relationship at the lowest level possible in the data. So what is the lowest level here in this geography? What is the lowest level? Zip is the lowest level in the hierarchy, right?
Yes.
So, okay, I want to delete this relationship. How do you delete? Just right click on this line and delete, or just select or hit delete. Now, if you go to the visuals, now it has come back to the same thing. Even for all the states of all the countries, it is showing the same value. Anyways, now so we have to create at the lowest level in the hierarchy. So let me try creating between zip and zip. Between zip and zip also it is showing the same issue, that it is saying that at least, of course, in the sales we will not have the unique values, but at least in the geography we should have the unique values, right? Here also it is saying zip code is not unique. What can be the issue?
Data inside this.
Data
is not unique within it. So
that is what data is not unique, but why? Why it should be unique, right? Why do you think is not unique? I mean, why do you think it is not unique?
Because geography has all the zip codes, whereas sales may not have occurred in the some of the zip codes. Is this the reason?
No, that's okay, no, because if you take in the product, between the product and the sales, we have 2,412 products, out of which only 739 products we have sold.
Right.
So that
within
is
the country, zips are unique, but across the country, I think zips are not unique.
correct. That is the reason. This zip code is unique within the country. Correct. So in India, let's say we have 6-digit zip code. Like let's say I have 560001 as a zip code here in India. So there is no rule that the same zip code cannot be there in any other country. The same zip code can be there in other country as well. Similarly, the same thing is happening here as well in our case. Okay, so some of these zip codes Maybe you can check which country zip code it is repeating, but that is what is the case here as well. Let's say there is 1, 2, 3, 4 in Canada and 1, 2, 3, 4 in Australia. Even though country is different, but 1, 2, 3, 4 is not unique here. So that is why it is failing. So how do we, now the question is, how do we make it unique? In order to create relationship. By
merging the columns.
Yeah, by merging the column with what?
Yeah, zip with the country makes it.
Country.
Kind of something.
Yeah, zip and country. If you merge it with country, zip and country. So Australia 1, 2, 3, 4 and Canada 1, 2, 3, 4. They both are unique now. Now you can create that relationship easily, or Power BI will automatically create that relationship. Okay. Let's see how we can do. So let's I'll show two ways of doing it. Let's do it in Power Query Editor first. Here, let me go to the sales. I have to create that in both the tables, right? Then only I'll be able to create a relationship. So first I'll create in the geography table. Select the zip code, hold control and select country. Then come to add column. Here we have merge column option. And of course you have merge column in the transform also. In the transform tab also we have merge column. What will happen if you do it from the transform tab? It will just replace these two existing columns and create a new column. But we also need these columns, right? The original columns we need, but we want to create a new column to create a relationship. That's why I'll go to add column. What this will do, it will leave the original columns as it is, but it will create a new column. Okay, so click on merge columns. Here it will ask you to give some separator. You can give none as a separator, or you can just give some separator. Maybe I'll add semicolon as a separator. In column name, I'll call it as zip country query editor QE. Click OK. Now I have this column. I'll have to do the same thing here in the zip as well. Now I'll select zip and then country. Go to the add column, click on merge columns, and you have to use the same separator or else it will not make that unique. Semicolon. I call this also as, if I give the same name, the relationship will automatically create. If I give different name, then we'll have to manually create it. We'll give the same name, click OK. Okay, it created column here as well, but still that is not available here until and unless you apply that. Okay, so that's why there is no relationship here. Now what I do from here, I'll close and apply. You can notice the relationship will be created on the new column automatically here. Can you see? Now why it has created? Because it has met all those 4 conditions. One condition, the column name, similar column name, and this data type, same data type, and same data between those 2 columns, and also the unique values in one of the tables. Make sense? Now if I go to my visual here, you see now data is automatically filtered for the state. Even if you add city, it will filter data for city also. Can you see? Okay, make sense? Let me add state. Okay, and there is one more way we can do it here in Power BI desktop also. As I said in the beginning that Power BI has a inbuilt programming language called DAX, right? Data analysis expression. Okay, using that also you can create a new column. If you go to the data view here and click on any column, either here or here, you'll see the column tools, it's enabled. Here we have something called new column here. Okay, so what it will do, using which you can create a new column by giving some expression. What this says, write a DAX expression that creates a new column in the selected table and calculates value for each row. Okay, let me see what it does. Click on this new column. As soon as you click on that, you will see this formula bar, something like this, as you see in the Excel. But in the Excel, we just type equals to and start typing our formulas. But here you need to give a column name, and that column name will be used here. Maybe I call this as zip country. I call it as DAX, since I've created it in the DAX. Okay, and the expression what I give, zip. As soon as you type zip, it'll give the suggestion of the columns in that table with the name zip. Okay, so just use your arrow keys to select the one which you want, hit enter, then ampersand. Ampersand is a concatenation operator, and country. Hit enter. You see, we have created column here also. New column. You can do like this also easily. And this is a very, very simple DAX, but you can write a very complex DAX. Okay, there are you can write like hundreds of lines of DAX expression to do some of your complex calculations that you have in your business. Anyway, so we have to do the same thing here in the geography also.
Can we also add if formula?
You can add. There are more than 1,000 functions available in the DAX. There is if, there is IFF, there is switch.
It's more like Excel itself, right? I mean, the formula which we use in
Excel itself, but in Excel, like you can use nested formulas or something like that, but that is very limited. But here you can use intermediate variables. You can create measures. There is something called some concept called measures here. Okay, so in measures you can add values, like you can keep intermediate values, and on top of that you can make some calculations, something like that. So there is a lot you can do with DAX. It is like if you know DAX in Power BI, you can literally do any calculations or any analysis of your data. Anything you imagine, anything, you can do that.
Got it.
Okay, here, but again, due to time constraint, will not be able to. As I said, there are more than 1,000 DAX functions. Okay, and there are some of very interesting DAX functions. Like we have something called same period last year. The function name is same period last year, and there is something called total YTD, total QTD, total MTD. And if you have to do the total YTD, QTD, and also how much struggle it is if you have to do it in Excel, right? But here it is very simple. Just use that function, give some column, data column, date column to that function as the argument, and then the sum or average, whatever you want to do. Then it will instantly give that value. And there is something called same period last year. So you can also compare on the same period, what was the sale last year comparing to this year. You can compare it by day, by month, by quarter, by year. Okay, it is just a glimpse of what else you can do with DAX, but there is much more than that in the DAX. Anyways, let's come back to this. See, we created this column. Now, if you go here, you see the new DAX column also created here. If you want to create relationship on DAX, you can just delete this existing one. And now you can create that relationship on the DAX column also, and it will easily allow you to create the relationship. So I hope you understand why creating the relationship or creating the right relationship between the data sets is important. So I wanted to demonstrate that. So that is the reason I took this example. And also you should be very careful. Like if you let's say it did allow us to create relationship between the country on the country column between the geography and sales, and even for the at the country level it did look correct. But what about the lower hierarchies? Here it's the geography hierarchy, we were easily identified, but in bigger environments, in the enterprise environment, you will have a lot of different categories, and until and unless you understand the data, you will not know really that is the subcategory of it or it is a hierarchical value of that. So in such cases, your report might go wrong. Your dashboards might give wrong information to your business. So that's why you have to be careful. If you ask me what is more important in Power BI, Power Query Editor, this data modeling, and DAX is more important than these visuals that we create. Visuals are simple, you know, just drag and drop and give some fields to it. It'll do its job. But to feed the right field to that visual, you need to do that calculation, you need to do that modeling, you need to do that transformation. That is why all those are more important than this. Anyways, are you trying these things along with me, or you're just watching?
Yes.
Do you want to do it, or
it's important, right, to have one this thing, right, one to many in relationship database to have an accuracy of data?
yes, it is.
Right.
It is important to have, yes, one to many. Even if you do not have one to many, okay, so let's say in our case we could easily convert that many to many to one to many, but in real time it is not that easy to create. You don't get some correlated values like this. You will have to create something called intermediate table, where you will duplicate the existing table, one of the existing table, and you will take the distinct values from that table, and then you will make that as a separate table, like intermediate table, and then join. Instead of joining these two tables directly, through that new table you will connect to this table. So that those are the things that you need to you have to do there.
Got it.
Yeah. Okay. Can you repeat the linking part? Linking part is easy. Just, you know, you create. Okay, I'll ping you this DAX formula if you want to try it later. This is for geography, and this is for sales. And also, if I'm clicking on this columns here in the relationship, you also is giving me this formula expression. In fact, this is for sales, and very easily you know how to do it in the transform data, right? Merging the columns. Okay.
So one question.
Yeah.
So where exactly we should tackle the performance thing? Is it like when we analyze the data or during the modeling?
While analyzing the data, you'll not be able to mostly do anything about optimization, right? Maybe there is something called query folding. Okay, if you are connecting to relational databases, okay, there is something called query folding. You have to make sure that your query is doing that query folding. Okay, you just Google and research on it later. What is query folding in SQL in Power BI? So only that you can do. If it does query folding, what it will do, it will actually run a native SQL query in your RDBMS. Even though you just pull the data here in the Power BI, that connection will run the native query. That is when the data fetching will be faster there. Okay, and what else you can do there in the Power Query Editor is to reduce the data as much as you can. For example, whenever we created the new columns, we were just deleting the redundant columns, right?
Well,
like yeah, redundant columns or redundant data. those kind of things you can do. And for example, we here in this, we have 8 years of data. So for ER analysis, you might not be needing all 8 years of data. You can just filter only 2 years data so that you will have lesser data here in the Power BI desktop. Okay. So when you have lesser data, your visuals will run faster. And also there is here, after you create your visual, there is something called query performance analyzer. This one, performance analyzer. If you click on this, click on start recording and click on refresh visual. It will just show you how much time it took. It took 117 milliseconds, and in 117 milliseconds, it took 4 milliseconds for DAX query and 22 milliseconds for visual display and 92 milliseconds for some other operation that it did. So this is okay. 117 millisecond is fine, but in real time, when you have more data and when you have complex DAX, this will go up to minutes. And the end users, nobody will have patience for the dashboard to load for a minute. It has to happen within 10 seconds, maximum 10 seconds. Even 10 seconds is also more. Like it has to happen in seconds. In that case, you can use this performance analyzer where it will actually show you where it is taking more time. So that part you can tweak. Okay. Hope that makes help. I mean, that helps you. You can check
But
that.
one more thing, the first in the query folding, what you said. So basically, we are not using direct SQL queries here, right? So even though we have like joins and inner joins, outer joins, everything to get the data in the query SQL, actually, we are not using that here. Instead, we are trying to, simulate that using the modeling here. So the way we are building the relationship.
No, don't get confused with that. So since you asked how we can optimize the performance, that's why I said that is totally different than the modeling that we did here. So you research on that later, but don't get confused. They both are different.
Okay, so but one thing is we cannot use direct SQL queries. Is that yes or no?
You can use, but you can use instead of here what we did yesterday, we connected here to the file system. If you connect to the SQL, here in the direct query, you can write your query directly here. See, there is something called SQL statement. You just write SQL statement directly here. Okay. Okay, so let me delete this visual. Hope you understood this modeling concept. At least it changed the perspective of what modeling is in Power BI to you. At least even though it is very basic level, but I hope it had given some knowledge on that. And there are also in the modeling, there are so many things. Modeling, it is not as easy as we are looking at it right now. Okay, here we did not even explain what are these tables and what is this table and what kind of modeling it is, right? So there are so many things. There is something called dimension table, there is something called fact tables, and different dimension tables are there and different fact tables are there, and different modeling techniques are there. For example, there is something called star schema, there is something called snowflake schema, there is something called fact constellation schema. So you should have all that knowledge to create a better model here. Okay, if you want to become a core data analyst and if you want to master data analytics using Power BI, okay, you need to understand all of that. But for most of the people, like who use Power BI just for analyzing the already ready-made data or already in a with the data which is in good shape, then they might not be knowing all that. This simple trick, whatever I said, is good now, but you should. There is a lot to it. It is data modeling is not just this. Okay. Now,
do you have any references or links to share with us?
ready-made reference? I do not have anything, but I'll share later. Okay. Now, let me just copy this visual, paste it here again. And if you notice one more thing here, on this visual, we see these options here. This option, focus mode, if I click on this, I'll show this from here only, page 1. If I click on this focus mode, what it'll do? It'll bring that visual into your entire page, visual canvas, so that you can see it in a bigger picture. Okay, that is what it is. And we have something called filters on visuals. If you click on this, it will show you what are the filters used on this visual. Currently, we don't have any filters added on this visual. That's why it is not showing anything. But if you add any visual filters here, if you apply any filters, it will show those filters here. Okay. And if you click on this drop, these 3 dots, there are more options. You can, first option is export data. You can export whatever data is used to create this visual, right? You can export that data. Click on this export, it will export it in CSV. Yeah, only in CSV. Okay, you can export that data. And if you click on this, there is something called show as table. If you click on this, this data is also showed as a table right below this. And remove, of course, will remove this visual. And spotlight, if you click on this spotlight, it will be highlighted like this. Okay. And we have something called sort access. You can also sort the data in this visual based on the access information. Now, currently it is sorted on the revenue column in the descending order. That is why you see USA in the beginning and Mexico at the end. If I change the order, like in ascending order, if I change it to, you see, Mexico comes first and USA comes later. Like that, you can also sort based on the, let's say, country. Ascending order, in the alphabetical order, it is sorted now. Okay, like that, you can use all the columns that you, whatever columns you have here, and to sort it. Okay, so it is better to sort it by revenue, like whatever column you're showing in the y-axis, it is better to sort it by that and in the descending order, so that the value which is having the category which is having more value is shown first, and the one which is having at the end is shown at the last. So these are about that.
Data can be exported in CSV only, right?
Sorry?
Data export, it's in CSV.
It's in CSV, correct.
That's the only option, right?
Here it is only in CSV, but once you publish this report to the service, Power BI service, there you can also export it in Excel.
Oh, all right. Got it.
Yeah, yeah.
Certain service is chargeable, I believe.
Yeah, yeah.
Got it.
Okay, and let me copy and paste this visual here. Now, I want to change this visual to maybe, let's say, donut chart. Okay, now I'll show you one more thing. If I click on this, what is happening? Do you notice something happening to other visuals? Can you see? If I click on this, here to this visual, instead of country, let me give subcategory. Okay. If I click on USA, what is the revenue here? 4,383K. That means 4.38 million. So that is what is being shown here as well. And whatever is highlighted here is only for USA. If you sum all these values, it will give you 4.38 million only. If I click on Japan, now all the visuals will show data only for the Japan. If I click from here, for example, this whatever bigger portion we're seeing is the productivity, right? If I click on this, see in each country, whatever is highlighted is only for this productivity category. Like this, if you have multiple visuals like this in one page, just clicking on one visual, it will take that data point. For example, I've clicked on this in this subcategory as productivity. It has taken productivity as the filter, and it is filtered the data in all other visuals in this page. This is called as the interactiveness between the visuals in the Power BI. So this is not possible in other reporting tools, like for example in Excel we don't have. Okay, so you can also control those. Okay, how do you control? You need to select a visual, and if you once you select visual, you see this format and data or drill option gets enabled. If you have not selected any visual, that will not be there. So select any visual, then go to the format. Here we have something called edit interactions. Click on that. As soon as you click on, you see here, you see some icons on top of all those visuals. Click on this. You see these icons here. What it says, filter, it is highlight, none. Here we don't say anything because we have selected this visual. So if you see, notice here, highlight is selected. If I click on none on this, and this, now if I click on this visual, only here it is highlighting on whichever data point I'm clicking on. For the other visuals, nothing is happening because I have set the interaction to none for other visuals upon clicking on this visual. So if I, by default, it is set to filter like this. Highlight like this. But for the card visuals, this highlight option is not there because there is nothing to highlight, right? It just has one. It just has only one value, so it has to filter only. It cannot highlight some part of the values, right? So that is the reason highlight is not there here. Filter is only there. So if you click on something, it is being highlighted here. Okay. Now if you click on this filter, now what is happening? The data is actually being filtered for this data point. See, for convenience, this is what is the data in each of this country. For productivity, this is what is the data. And for the select, this is what is the data. And even here also it is being changed. This is called as the interactiveness, the reports. Okay, makes sense? And from here, now it is happening from this visual to filtering is happening from this visual to all these visuals. So what if I click on this? If I click on this, it is still here highlight only, because if you want to set this interaction from this visual to all other visuals, then you need to select this and set here also as filter. Then only, now if you see in Japan, this is the categorical data. In Australia, this is the, see, it will give you very nice details about your data, right? If you click on just USA here, USA, it is showing, by knowing this, you know that productivity is at the higher side. You have done a lot of sales in the productivity subcategory. Next is this one. It is also showing you the percentage here in the bracket. And also you can control that from the formatting option here, like what to show in the bracket. You can do all that. But I'll leave that to you to explore. And if I click on Japan, you see here. And if I click on Australia, if you see, there are two things here. Yeah, Australia, there are two things. The colors are actually they're similar, looking similar, 42% and 41%. Only these two categories are contributing almost 84% of total sales in Australia. In Nigeria, these two are contributing around how much percent? 26 and 20, 30, around 57% or 58%. If I click on Mexico, This much of is the revenue. So like this, you can get more insights. Of course, here we have only few visuals. If you add more visuals to this page with different views of your data, you will get more better view of the data. Okay.
Can you show this one again, the last highlight part? So when I do this, only half of it is highlighting, not the complete.
Yeah. So let's say you need to decide, like upon clicking on this visuals data, what should happen on the other visuals. In that case, you need to select this visual and then go to the format, click on edit interactions and set these values. Either you want to highlight, filter, or do nothing. But if you want to do it from this to these visuals, then you need to select this visual and do the same thing here. Okay. By default, it will be highlight option for all the visual. But if you want to change it to filter or do nothing, you can do this. Maybe I don't want to do anything for these visuals. I just want to, irrespective of what I select here, I just want to keep these as it is. So you can do that. Only here it is changing. Okay. Fine. Here, now I'm seeing the data by country, right? Let me add a manufacturer to it. X-axis, sorry, to the legend, I'll add manufacturer. By manufacturer, in each country by manufacturer, I'm seeing the information, but I'll change this to this stacked column chart for better view. What is stacked column chart? Instead of having those legends, the subcategory right next to each other, it is just stacked one above the other. And bigger the value, the stack is bigger. Lower the value, the stack is smaller with the less, with the different color. Okay, let me do one thing. I'll remove. Okay, it is removed already. Okay. Now, let's say here, there are how many manufacturers? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 manufacturers. Okay. You can also see that from here. Okay, 12 manufacturers we have. What if I want to see my data for only top 5 manufacturers? Okay, top 5 in terms of more revenue generation. Okay, this is for all the manufacturer. Let me copy and paste it again. Here, we did not talk about these filters, right? So here, for example, if I click on the country or anything for that matter, if I click on the manufacturer, let's say I click on this blank. Okay, there is something wrong with the data. Even if I click on the blank, okay, nothing is wrong. Okay, so this blank data is there in Nigeria and Germany. Okay, if I click on Abbas, now what you see, the data here in this visual is filtered for Abbas manufacturer. If I click on 𝐴𝐵𝐾, now you'll also see for Abbas and 𝐴𝐵𝐾. Curious. This is for Curious now. So this is a very basic filtering, like we filter in the Excels. This is how we have this basic filtering. Okay. If you want to remove the filtering, here you see this eraser icon. Just click on that to remove filtering. That is basic filtering. If you click on this again, there is something called advanced filtering. If you click on that, you see this filtering functions. If your column, this filtering column is a text column, you will see text functions like contains, does not contain, starts with, does not start with, is not equal to, is blank, all of that. If it is numeric column like revenue, here, what you'll see? You'll see less than or equal to, greater than or equal to, greater than, less than, is not, is, something like this. Okay. So since manufacturer is the text column, you see the text filter functions. Okay. Now that you can explore later. If I click on there is one more called top N. If you click on this filter, you get these two options, top or bottom. Let's say I want to see top 5 manufacturers. So I'll hit enter 5. But how do I rank these manufacturers? Based on what? I'll identify these 5 are the top manufacturer. Maybe revenue or number of units sold or the number of products manufactured. But in this case, I'll use revenue. So here to this by value, we need to supply the value by which the manufacturers are ranked and out of which top 5 are considered. Okay, so I'll supply revenue to this one. But here for this filter, you need to click on apply filter. Until and unless you click on apply filter, this filter will not apply on this visual. So you need to click on apply filter. Now, the data that we see here is for only top 5 manufacturers. Here you're seeing for all the manufacturers, and here you're seeing only for the top 5 manufacturers. Who are those 5 manufacturers? 𝐨𝐸𝐿, Curus, Natura, Pyrum, and Vanacedel. And if you see, Vanacedel is more prominent in each of the country comparing to other manufacturers. Okay, here in USA, if you see, it is almost similar. It is almost doing the same sales. Vanacedel is doing the same sales comparing to these 3 other manufacturers. Okay, so this will take us to another question. Let's say now I know that let's consider for a moment that I am a Vanacedel's company's representative or a manager, and I want to compare my company's revenue with these top 4 manufacturers as well as all other manufacturers. So how do I do that? I'll just copy this visual. I'll copy this first visual and paste it here below. I'm just showing you all different possibilities here, like based on your scenario and your data, you can apply that. So here, if you go to the manufacturer and click on manufacturer column, only upon clicking on the manufacturer column name, this column tool gets enabled. If you click on the table, you don't see that. If you click on the column name, under the column tools, you see something called data groups. If you click on this drop down, it says create new group. You can create a new group from here, or you can simply right click on this manufacturer column, right click and click on new group. So it will open up this window. Here I want to group these values so that I can compare them. So I'll group Vanacedel as one group. This alone is one group, and I'll group these 4 top 4. What are top 4? 𝐨𝐸𝐿, Curus, Natura, and Pyrum. 𝐨𝐸𝐿, Curus, hold control to select multiple values. Curus, Natura, and Pyrum, and click on group. So now these 4 are clubbed to one group. Okay, I'll call this as top 4. How do I rename? Just double click on that to rename. Just double click to rename. Top 4. Vanacedel and top 4 I have. What about others? Here I have this option, include other group. If I click on this, all others are included. Instead of manually selecting, just click on this. It will include all others into this other group. If you want, you can rename this also to others. Okay, now click OK. Now if you notice here, below the manufacturers, we also have this manufacturer group, new column. Okay, now here in the legend, instead of the manufacturer, I'll bring in this manufacturer group. Can you see? Since we have the blank data, that is also showing. So that's okay. Let me filter out that blank data. We don't need that. Okay. Now what we see? Only 3. Vanacedel. This is Vanacedel. And this is the top 4 manufacturers and all other manufacturers. What do we get by this? We can compare one particular group with other groups. If you see here, if you are a Vanacedel's company's representative or a business owner or whoever, you can see that Vanacedel is doing much better comparing to all these top 4 manufacturers. You are very close to all 4 manufacturers together, their sales is your sales is very close to all of their sales together, closer to their total sales of all 4 manufacturers. So like this, you can group your data and you can interpret this. Okay. Like this, if you, how can you implement this in your projects? Maybe let's say let's say you handle a you want to create a group based on a geography. Maybe there is a group manager who is handling multiple groups, and you can group all those subcategories into his particular group, and then you can show it. Something like that. Or geographically, you can group like south states or south cities, north cities, east cities, west cities, central cities, or central locations. Something like that. You can group like that, and then you can interpret your data to other locations or other groups. Okay, so let's take a break for 10 minutes. So before that, do you have any questions on this till now?
So are we going to cover drill report, drill down report?
Sorry?
Drill down reports.
Drill down reports? No, I think we're not covering in this session. But because, see, there are many other things to show, right? So for people who do not know what is drill through even, so there are other basic things to show. So I don't think in this session I'll not be able to cover that. Yeah, and Sija is asking, how did we get the edit interaction? Click on the visual and this format tab will appear. Click on this and here you have your edit interactions. Okay.
Praveen, one thing,
Yes.
that whatever the top 5 or the second visual which we did, showing the revenue of top 5 manufacturers. Let's say it has to be like interactive. If a person enters somewhere, like I want to show the top 6 or top 2 or only the top 3. So I want to implement this automatically, like dynamically. I have to pass that n value, top end, right? That n value I should pass it dynamically. Visit through DAX, or do we have any options here to pass it through measure? Or
Got it. Got your point. Here we don't have that option, but using DAX you can do that. Okay, like you can create a new column or a new measure. There is something called measure, so you can create that, and using that you can make, there is something called what if parameter. Okay, just make a note and you can study on it or research on it later. What if parameter, using that you can pass that value to this visual or any visual for that matter, so you can do that. So you have to use DAX. As I said, DAX is very, very important. If you learn DAX, at least 50% of DAX, whatever you can imagine to do on reporting level, you can do it. Okay. And very, very, I've seen and I've myself have implemented a lot of very complex scenarios using DAX, which are not even possible to do it using the existing visuals or the custom visuals. There are, of course, in the enterprise environment, we'll have very complex requirement, right, from the business. So DAX is the solution. Okay. Let me show you a few more things, and then let's move to how to share this report with the Power BI service. Okay, I was talking about the map visual, right? So if I have to add map visual, just select somewhere outside and click on this map visual. You'll get a map visual here. And here, of course, based on what visual you select, these fields will be changing, as I said earlier. So let's say you want to see data by country. Let's say you want to see revenue, add it in the bubble size here. You see, you can also add. Okay, you can add only one at a time. See, how do we interpret this? Bigger the bubble, bigger the revenue in that area. Okay. If you want to make those bubbles bigger, go to this formatting options again. Here we have under the visual level settings, format options, we have this bubble size. You can increase the bubble size so that it is visible more properly. Okay, and colors, maybe you can change this color to, let's say, maybe I'll add pink color. Okay, so this is one of the visuals, but you can also add, example, I'll copy and paste that. This is the standard visual, and there is one more filled visual, filled map. Okay, if you click on that, what it will do? It will just fill that area wherever you have your revenue or the business. Okay, so instead of country, let's say, let me add state and see if this works. Can you see? For state also it will work. And I'll also add country. And here, if I filter for only Australia, you see, it will automatically bring you to this. If you want to only show Australia data here. Okay. Maybe if you want to add Canada also, like this, or Mexico, something like this, you can filter and keep it. This is the map visual. And for you, it might be disabled. So what you have to do, you have to go to the file here, file, click on options, and click on options again. And here under the security, I think, yeah, under the security, this one is not checked for you. So maybe this is disabled. You need to click on this, use map and field map visuals. It is like this for you by default. So just enable it. Then you will be able to create visual map visuals. Then click OK. Okay. So whatever we have done till now, and also if you see here, if I click on this, right, even the interaction will happen on this also. Map also. Let's say if I had added state information here, if you click on the state, only that particular state gets highlighted. Okay, so this interaction will work here also. For example, if I click here on Australia, see. So this is very useful, this interaction thing. Okay, so whatever we have seen till now is a kind of a aggregated value we are seeing here, right? What if I have to see the detailed information also, like a table? So to do that, we have this table visual, simple table visual. Click on table visual. What it will show? It will just show the data in the tabular format. That's all. Like it just takes the column as the input. Let's say I add country. It's just showing the country information, and under the country, let's say I'll add the category as well. Maybe I'll add subcategory. Okay, then I want to see the revenue. It is sum, it is taken automatically. Maybe I want to also see the units sold. And also I want to see the product sold, maybe unique products. I do a distinct of products. Okay, so this is how we see. Even if you can format this, if you click on this, go to the formatting options. Here the formatting options are different. As I said, visual level, based on which visual you select, the formatting options will be differing. If you go to the column headers, you can make the column header bold like this. You can change the background color of it. Maybe let's say I'll change it to blue, and text color I change it to white, something like this. Or you can choose any color whichever you want. Right, and there are some preset styles. By default it is like this. If you change to minimal, it will be changed like this. Bold header, alternative rows banding, so you can do this also. Constant like this. So there are different options. You can explore this. Let me keep it at this for now. And if you do not want to see this total, we can also remove that. So go to the totals, turn off the total. You'll not see that. If you want, you can enable it, and also you can change the color, font size, and all of that. Okay, so this is your table. And there is one more similarly called as matrix. Let me copy this. Paste here. And if you notice, the interaction is happening on this table also based on if you click on USA, see the only US's data is filtered here in this visual. Anyways, I don't want that to happen. So now I want to show you the matrix. So how do you change it to matrix? Just select this visual, click on matrix. It will automatically change to matrix, but you see the category in the columns, but I also want to see the category also in the rows like this. Now you will get these toggle buttons. Click on this to expand. Your total revenue is now split into this subcategory. And if you click on this subcategory urban, then you will see category, then you will see for subcategory. Similarly, if you add some more hierarchical data to it, so it will show that. Okay, so one more thing I want to show you here is, I'll rename it to unique products. Unique products. And this to just revenue units. Okay, so what if I want to see this information? Let's say now we're just seeing the numbers here, right? Let me bring these little up so that I can make more space to this. Okay, so in this, let's say I want to see this revenue and units information as a grand total percentage. Means comparing to the total revenue which I've got, what is the percentage that each of this country or this category is contributing? Okay, so how do I do that? Just add the revenue again here, and I'll also add unit. Now, instead of just the revenue, if you click on this drop down, here we have something called show value as, and we have percentage of grand total, and also we have percentage of column total and row total, but we are interested in percentage of grand total. What it will do, if I click on it, see GT, percentage GT of revenue. Now what it is showing? It is showing this value in terms of percentage. Okay, so this value is 27.87% of this total revenue. And you can do the same thing for unit also. Percentage of grand total. I change it to GT of. Now it is 29.35%. So this is how you can also show your values in terms of the overall percentage. Okay, and also if you want to highlight these values like we did for this one, we can do it for this also. Like we have the conditional formatting in Excel. So here also we have the similar thing. Just click on this arrow mark and you see something called conditional formatting. There is something called background color, font color, data labels, icons, all of this you can change. Now let's change the background color based on the value. Click on it, and again you get this one. For the lowest value, I want to show red color, and for the highest value, I want to show green color. Okay, and for the middle value, let's say I want to add yellow, but you can skip that if you do not want to add one, but you can add if you want. Now if I click OK, you see for this value you'll also get this color banding. So when you have a lot of values, it is more visually appealing, right? Like it is just highlighting what is the lowest value and what is the highest value. So whenever your decision maker looks into it, he suddenly understands, okay, Mexico, there is some problem, so I need to look into it. So if you expand Mexico, then here for each category, this is what he has. And what is the lowest one? The youth. If he checks the youth, and actually there is only one subcategory in that, this is the sales that he has. So maybe he can check with the people who are involved in the sales in Mexico in this category. He can talk to them and understand what is the problem, and they can take decisions. Okay, so this is one way. And you can also do for units. Let's say now I want to do data bars. Okay, or maybe font color also you can take, but let me do data bar. Here for the lowest value, for the positive bar, let's say I give this one, and for the negative bar I give red. Okay, click OK. See, now also here the bar indicates the bigger the bar, the more the value, lesser the bar, lesser the value. You can also use these options. There are different options as well. Like you can change the font color of the text, and you can add icons, right? Like if you click on icons, see we have these many icons. If you can give conditions, if my value is, my percentage is greater than, let's say you have a threshold percentage of maybe some 30%. If my value is more than 30%, show this icon in green. If it is between this and this, show amber, or there are many other like exclamation, this flags and all of this. You can use any of these. And if it is less than this, add red, something like that. Okay, you can make use of all of this. So this is about table and of course I'm not formatting this properly. I'm just showing what are the capabilities that you can do, but you need to, whenever you're working on it, you need to choose the proper colors and the proper formatting alignment and all of that you need to do. Now we saw the filters, right? So filters, you need to come here and then select the visual and then select the filter values and all of that, right? And of course, what we saw earlier was just the visual level filters. There's also called page level filter and report level filter. If you add, for example, if I add country here to this filters on this page, this is called as page level filters. If I select Australia, all the visuals in this page are filtered for Australia. And if you select Canada, now filter for Australia and Canada both. This is the page level filter. If I add the country here, filters on all the pages, that means if I select Australia here, this filter is applied on all the pages. You see, everywhere you see only Australian data. Okay, so, and there is one more drill down, drill through filter also, but we are not covering that in this session. Okay, and if you see the page level filter is overriding, sorry, report level, this is called report level filter. Report level filter is overriding this page level filter. Even though we have Australia or Canada both, but since we have selected only Australia here, only Australia is filtered out. Okay, so this is filter. But similarly, like this, there is one more thing called slicer. Like we have slicers in Excel. Similarly, we have slicers here as well. So let's say, let me bring these aside. And you can drag and select all of this together. And just to let me remove these filters just to show all the data.
How do we add the countries in the pages so that the filters will be like a list? Can we provide the countries on the left hand side so that whenever people choose Australia, the entire reports will be filtered as Australia.
Yeah, that's what I'm showing. I'm just arranging this so that I get the space to showcase that. So let's say, let me bring this also here. I'll copy paste this. And also I'll copy paste this as well. Maybe we can make this smaller. I'll just remove this unique products from this so that this table is smaller. Okay, let's say like this. We have a report like this, or we can call it as dashboard also. Okay, now let's say I want to add this filter. Click on the slicer. Slicer is also visual here. Okay, now here what I do, it will take one field, so I'll add country to it. Okay, so you see country information here. You just need to select from here, and the data for that is filtered out in this. Okay, and if you can change the view of this also. Like if you click on this, earlier the options were here itself. If you click on this drop down and you would see options here itself, but now it is moved to the formatting option. That's what this message is showing. Click on this, go to formatting option. Under the slicer settings, now it is a vertical list, right? Now let's say I do tile. You'll see country names like this. Okay, and I'll remove the title. Okay, slicer header. Okay, so here under the selection, now currently it is multi-select, but to select multiple values you need to hold control and select multiple values like this. Okay, but you can also make it single select like this. Even if you hold control, you can only select one value at a time. So upon clicking on this, your data gets filtered here on all these visuals. Okay, and also there is one more option, this select all option. Select all will also come. If you click on this, it will select all the values in this. Okay, this is one thing. You can also change the background color and all of that. If you go to the effects, go to the background color just to match this entire thing. Let me change it to background color. You can also add values. Okay, here is the background color. Say I want to show blue on top of that. Oh, it is not working. Okay. I hadn't selected. Okay, if you select, it will show that value. If you go to the general background, let me make it more. Okay. Maybe let's keep this. Okay, let's keep this. Let's not worry much about that. But when you are working on that, so you can check the color, whatever color you want to see there and all of that. But for me, it looks fine. Okay, so this is one way. You just click on any value here and all your visuals in the page gets filtered for that. Why this is only showing Australia? Because I think here it is filtered for Australia. Yeah. Okay, now let's say I want to also add the year. We have not seen the year information till now, right? So let me just copy this slicer and paste again. And now instead of country, I'll bring year from it. And if you notice that we just had the date column, but it has automatically created this hierarchy and all. So now since it is a list, it is showing like that, but you can make it, if you go to the format option, slicer settings, here we have so many options. Vertical list we have, drop down, between, less than. If you click on drop down, you will just see a drop down to select a particular year. Or if you select a between, so you will see this slider. If you go to this slider and you also have the slider color and all of that, you can change that, something like this. And where was this header thing? Slicer header. Somewhere we changed it right earlier. Okay, anyways, let's not worry much about that. So you get this slider. So you can just have something like this. By year, you can adjust your years from here as well. See, now I'm seeing data only between 2013 and 2015 and for all the countries. So if I select Australia, you can, the combination of this slicer will work. The data that you're now seeing is between 2013 and 2015 and for Australia. And if I click on Germany, this is for Germany. One moment. Yeah, now it is for Germany. Okay, like this, you can make use of these filters. Let me select all the data again. And I want to show you one more interesting thing. Here there is very less space. Let me make these a little smaller. You can select multiple visuals like this and you can bring them down together. Yes. Okay, let me copy this visual and paste it. You can add slicer like this. So here, instead of country, let's say I want to select I want to bring the manufacturer. Where we have manufacturer here. See, now you have 3 slicers. You can use the combination of this, like the data between 2014 to 2018 and country selected is Australia. And then for example, a bus manufacturer, maybe for Barba. Okay, so like this, you can use the combination of slicers to filter your data. And also now we are just seeing the names here, right? Let's say, let me filter the blank data out. Okay, so let me, instead of, if you see the data here for the manufacturer, see, we also have the logo, right? we can also add the logo in the filter directly instead of the names. So instead of the manufacturer name, I'll bring manufacturer logo here. But what is happening is Power BI doesn't know that it is an image of a logo, that it has to go to that URL, this URL, and fetch it. For Power BI, it is just another text. That is why it is just showing the text here. But we have to let Power BI know that, see, this is not just the normal text, it is the image URL. So what you have to do, you have to select this column from this data view. Here we have this data category here. It is now uncategorized. Click on this drop down. Here we have image URL. Click on this. Now Power BI knows that this is a URL of an image. So what it will do, if you have internet connection, it will go to this URL and fetch that image and show that here. It takes some time to load, but let's wait. See now, can you see now how good it is when you give this to a business, that instead of they selecting their company or organization names, they just select their visual, they see the visuals and then they click on it to filter the data. So you can do this way. So for that matter, here there are different data categories. Okay, it's like address, place, city, country. So sometimes whenever you add a particular column to the map visual, it will not identify it as a location, because it doesn't know. If I, as a human being, if there is a value as India, I know it's a country. But for this Power BI, it's a software, it doesn't know that it's a country. So we have to let it know. But most of the cases, if it is country name or the state name, it will automatically identify, because that is what it has done for this map automatically. But if it doesn't do that, we'll have to go to this data category and we have to assign a category to that data. For example, latitude, longitude, it is just a decimal number, right? So it will just think that it is another decimal number. But if you specify that particular column as latitude and other one as longitude, so then it will understand that it's a location coordinate, and then it will plot map on that.
Can I say image on my desktop and then maybe link it through here?
On your image desktop, I don't think desktop one will not work, because you need to, if you see in the data category, you have to let it know that it is a particular path, right? So there is no option to let it know as there is a path. First of all, that is one thing. And another thing, whenever you publish this report to some other place, maybe to Power BI service, there your image link will break, right? The path will break. So there it will fail. So it has to be there in some place in the internet. From there it can fetch.
Okay.
Let me, somehow this yellow color is not looking good to me. Let me change it. Maybe this better. Okay, let's go with this blue. Yeah, this is also better. Okay, so as I said, I mean, there are a lot other things to do here in Power BI, because we have just covered only a few visuals here. The basic visuals, of course, we have tried to learn a few important things in these basic visuals itself, but there are many visuals, like as I said, there's something called combo visual and waterfall, this funnel chart, scatter chart, these indicators. We have something called KPIs and key influencer. There are so many things, and there is a lot to learn about DAX and all of that. But due to time constraints, I think we can stop here, and I let you start exploring from here. Okay, so with this, we have completed this step, the visualization step. Visualization and modeling also. We did a little bit of modeling also here, right? So that's what is the modeling. Now, let's see how we share this report to someone else.
So we call modeling this background one, the one that we just created, right?
Which one? This one.
Yeah. No,
Modeling.
the one in the visual, the other one, sorry. Yeah, on the top and the left hand side that we have created. So what we call this, any particular name or?
These are called as slicers.
Slices, okay.
Yeah, slicers. Okay, here you have this here as a visual slicer. We have
Okay,
this
so name itself. Okay, okay, fine.
name itself is a slicer. Yeah, it's a visual. Like we have the same thing in Excel also. I think
right.
you would have seen that. Maybe you can keep it like this. Okay. Let me. Okay, so if you want to share this with someone, what options we have now is you can just copy this PBIX file which we have saved yesterday. You can just share it with someone. If he has installed the Power BI desktop in his machine, he'll be able to see what you have done and look for your report. Okay, if not, this interaction and everything will not be work. Maximum what you can do, you can take a screenshot of it and share it with in your presentation or whatever, if that is your need, if that is your that is your need. Okay, so if at all this interaction and everything has to be happen and you want to share with multiple people over the cloud and all of that, that is when we need Power BI service, and which is license one. Okay, let me show you what is Power BI service. If you go to the powerbi.microsoft.com, this is where we downloaded the Power BI desktop from. You would have downloaded from here. If you see here, there is something called sign in. If you click on the sign in, it'll ask you for your credentials. Okay, so you should have created the account beforehand coming here. If not, you can see try for free is also there. If you click on try for free, it'll ask you to create an account, like how we create our Gmail account or everything like that. So since I've already created my account, so it's asking me to sign in. One thing here is that it will not accept the personal email IDs. For example, Gmail, Yahoo, right? Hotmail. It won't accept that. It has to be either your school email or a business email. Okay, then only it'll let you log into it or create an account itself in for that matter. So that's why I've created this user. It's a test user. Let me log in with this. Okay, so as soon as you log in, you'll see something like this. Okay, so first thing here, if you click on this, you see your username, what is your license type, and all of that. Other options by Pro is there, and there is something called Microsoft Fabric, which is the new thing. You would have seen a lot of people talking about this on the LinkedIn. So this was not there earlier, but it is there now. And account type and all of that. So mine is free account. Okay, as I said, you get 60 days free usage of this Power BI service if you want to try things. So you can have if you have your own domain or your business account using that business email ID, using that you can log in and try it for 60 days. Mine is another 13 days left. Okay. So, and when you log in the home, you see something like this. Like there's something called workspace. This is your report. And here, if you see, whatever is shared with you already, like if someone has already shared with you or something you have created already or shared here, you'll see all of that here in the home. Okay. And you can also, if you click on browse, you can also browse all your reports and dashboard that you have access to. And these things are OneLake Data Hub. This is also a new thing. It has come with the Microsoft Fabric. And there is something called apps, metrics, monitoring hub, deployment pipelines. So do not worry about these right now, because these are mostly used in the advanced environment. For example, if you have a very big environment where you have the development environment, UAT environment, pre-prod environment and prod environment, in such cases using this deployment pipeline. So how you move your reports or dashboard from one environment to another environment. In that case, to automate all of that, we use this. And metrics, there is something called metrics, which will also give you kind of key key KPIs, right? So all that. And there is something called app is it is not actually the app that we use in our mobile phones and all of that. It is just an app built in here. In that, what you can do, you can add multiple reports and dashboards and share that together as a package. Instead of sharing one dashboard or report, you can share all together, combined together as a package and share. That's what is the app. So, but do not worry about them. So what we are now interested in is this one, workspaces, right? What is workspace? If I click on this, there are two, if you see, there are two workspaces, my workspace and workspace. What is workspace? First of all, it is like a common place. Like we have a folder, for example, we have this Google, in the Google Drive, I have a folder, right? Common folder where I shared you the data and all of that. Like that, it's a kind of folder or a place to put your reports or dashboards. Okay, so but there are two. One is my workspace, another one is workspace. My workspace is the one which is available only to you, as in whoever who's logged in here. Okay, so whenever you create a report, something like this, before you publish it to the workspace and share it with other people, you want to see how it is looking, right? So in that case, we will publish it first to this my workspace, and whatever is there inside this my workspace is available only to you. That is not visible to other people. Correct? Once you publish here and see how it is looking and everything is fine, and then if you want to share it with someone, then you need to publish it to these workspaces. There are different workspaces. These are all I have created. Okay, so you can create your own, but usually what happens in the enterprise environment, there will be a workspace, project-wise workspaces, because in a company there can be hundreds of projects, right? So each project will have their own workspace, like their folder. Okay, you need, and you would be given access to that particular workspace, and you'll be publishing your reports to there. Okay, so now what we do, let's publish this to my workspace first and see. It is currently logged in here. Let me log out from here. How do we publish? One easiest way is you can just take the PBX file wherever it is saved. In my case, it is saved here. Here, this one, 2023-06-10. I can just take this and come to here. And there is option here to upload. If you just click on and browse, it will let you browse from your page, from your computer, browse and upload it here. As easy as that, you can do that. This is one way. And one more way is you can publish directly from your Power BI desktop. Here you see under this home tab, you see something called publish. Click on this publish. Here it will ask you to log in using the same credentials that you have used here to log into Power BI service. Okay. Let me log in. User one at continue. Okay, see, once I log in, it is showing all the workspaces that I have already. That means that I have access on that. In your case, if you are in a company where you have access on only 1 or 2 workspaces, you'll see only those 2 along with your My Workspace. Now, I want to publish it to My Workspace. So click on My Workspace, select, it is publishing. Okay, it is success. You can directly click on this to open that page, or since you have already opened it, so you need to refresh in order to see. Okay, this is the one 230610. It is just uploaded. Okay, so you see 2 files with that name. One is this one, report, another one is the data set. What is data set? Before seeing the report, let's see what is data set. If I click on this drop down, and there is something called view lineage, not drop down, this ellipse, view lineage. If you click on this, it will show you this detailed view of your entire thing in that report. See, this is what is the end report. But before that, what we did, we loaded the data from this folder, say international sales, and then we loaded this Excel file. And sorry, before that, we loaded the CSV file, and then we loaded this and this. So that is what, using this data set is created within the Power BI desktop. Okay, and on top of that data set, we have created this report. That is what is the data set actually, like all our data, the relationship, the DAX we have created, all our transformation, including all that is called as data set. And on top of that, we have created this report. Okay, now let me go back to My Workspace. Oh, it is not taking me there. Okay, My Workspace. Come on. Okay, here. In fact, if you click on this, it is actually showing me the data sets for all the reports that I have already. Okay, and these are the data sets for all the reports. But this is ours actually. If you click on this list view, you will see all the reports. Now, if you want to see this report, let me open it in new page. See, this is the report that we created. And all your pages are here, page 1, page 2. This is what we had in the page 2, and this is page 3. And now if you see here, see, when you share like this, see your interactions will work here. Okay, so now currently it is in My Workspace. Okay, so if you, now it is looking fine, everything is fine. So now I'm confident that I can share it with other people as well. Now what I do, I'll create a new workspace just for this. Maybe I'll call it workshop 2023-06-10. You can give some description if you want. You can also add a logo to it. Click OK. Now my workspace is great. If I go here, you can also see that here. Workshop 2023-06-10. Okay, there is nothing now. Now, again, you can upload here directly the PBX file, or you can also publish from here. Click on publish. Here, search for your workspace. This is the workspace. Click select. It is success. Go back. Refresh the page. You see, we have our report here now. Okay, again, the data set will be associated with it always. It will be there, but when you share, only this report is shared. Click open it in new page, new tab, in fact. Okay, now you can share this report with other people. How do you share? There is this share icon. Just click on this. And here, if you see this 3 ellipses, click on this, manage permissions. You can also directly give the direct access to this report. Currently, this guy is the owner. You can click on this plus icon and you can select the other users in your organization. Maybe user 2, then grant access. Now, this guy will also have access to this report. Whenever he logs in his machine, he'll see this report in his Power BI service. This is one way. Or you can also click on this and share this with other users like this. Like just the link you can copy and share, but they have to be in your organization and they should have access to this workspace. So this is one thing. And you can also give access to workspace directly. For example, if I click on this workspace, now if you go to this, now I'm the workspace, right? The newly created workspace. If you go to this manage access, click on this. Currently, only this guy is able to access. Only I am able to access his workshop. What if there are 2 more people who are working with me in the project and I want to give them also access? You can add people like this, add people or group. Maybe I'll add user 2. And I'll also add user 3. Okay, so once you add them, you can also give them these permissions. Please. Okay, so you can give these permissions, any of these permissions to them. You can make them viewer. If you make them viewer, they'll just be able to view what you have done here, right? If you make them contributor, they'll also be able to edit your reports. Whatever you have published here, they can do modifications here as well, modifications to that report in case of your absence or you want them to do some changes to it. If you're a member, again, he has slightly elevated permissions to like to delete the report and all of that. And if he's admin, he can delete the report and he can delete the workspace itself and all of that. So in your organization, what happens, there will be admin team who will create the workspaces, and anybody joins the team, right? The data analytics team or Power BI team, they'll add you to those respective projects workspaces like this, or maybe as a contributor or a member. Okay, like this also, if I add these people as a viewer, so if these guys, whenever they log in and when they click on this workspaces, they'll see this also in their list. Okay, so like this, you can share these reports. And also very simply what you can do, if you open the report, go to the file here, there is something called embed report. Website or portal, or this option, publish to web, it is public. Click on this, click on create embedded mode. It says a warning that you're about to publish it to the public, and if there is any sensitive data that is exposed, we are fine. Click OK. This is how it will be shown. Copy this. I'm just pasting this here to everyone. Just see if you can access this report over the web. But this is not the way to share, because whoever has this link will be able to see this report. Can you see this report? And below you see like this to navigate to the next pages. Can you access? And if you notice on this report, the interaction is also working on that. Right? Your data set is somewhere. So this is what is the beauty of cloud, right? Your data is somewhere, your data set is somewhere, and you have just shared it via some link, and someone who is sitting somewhere in the world, he's looking into this report and he can do all this interaction and all of that with this report. This is why Power BI service is important. And of course, all the organizations will have access, the license to the Power BI service to share the reports. Of course, you should have license, at least pro license to share the reports. If you do not have the pro license, you will not be able to share like this. Okay. And here also in the service also there are so many things. Okay, like let's say, what if your data changes tomorrow? Right? It is not that one time we create and we just leave it. Right? Tomorrow I might get more data, so I have to refresh the data. Right? So you can automate all that. Here in Power BI desktop, it is easy. Just come here whenever there is a new change, new data comes in, just click on refresh. What it will do, it will just pull all the new data, and it will also implement all these transformation steps that we have added on all the data sets, and it will load the data and refresh the visuals. Right? So that is why all this transformation and all of this, it is just one time activity until and unless there is a change to revise this requirement or the transformations. It is just one time activity. Whenever there is a new data comes in, just refresh, it will automatically refresh and show the data here. For example, I just want to show you. Let's say we have this United States data, right? Let me change this to some bigger number just to show you the difference. And I'll save it. Come here, click on refresh. Just notice these numbers. See, it is doing all the checks on the transformation and all of that. And also, one moment, this is because, yeah, because of that filter. Now, can you see? It is changed to 1.02 billion. Okay, that's how simple it is to refresh the data whenever you have new data. But here in the cloud, it will not happen that way, right? Here in the cloud, what happens? Here, because you have data in the local network, local in your laptop or in your system, but this report is in the cloud. There is no connectivity. Even if you try to refresh, you can easily refresh here. See, if you go to this data set, you see this refresh icon. If you click on this refresh, it should ideally refresh, but it will fail. See, this is what is warning it is giving. There was an error with your data set. That means there is no connectivity between this cloud environment and your machine, so that it is not refreshing the data. So to do that, there is something called data gateway. So you can click on this, and data gateway, you need to install it in your machine and configure that. Then you'll be able to create a channel between these two, and then you can schedule your refresh. Automatically it will refresh. If you have a pro license, you can schedule it to refresh 8 times a day. If you have the premium license, you can schedule it to refresh 48 times a day. That means every half an hour you can schedule it to refresh. Whenever there is a new data coming in, every half an hour it will refresh, and whenever whoever logs in here will always see the updated data. Okay. So just to finish, let's say you want to add some name to this report. Click on this text box. Just give whatever name you want, maybe sales analysis report, or maybe I would call it a sales analysis dashboard. And increase the font size to 32 and color to maybe this color. Okay, so you can add name like this. And if you have any logo or something, you can also add. There is something called here. If you go to the insert, there is option to insert image. So you can select some image, for example, let's say this one. You can select some image and you can add it here. logo, for example. I'm just adding this visual, but you can add any logo of your organization or something. And you can also change the background color of this entire thing and all that you can do. So before I forget, let me change this back to 254, whatever we had earlier. Yes. Refresh, it will be refreshed back to the same value. 15.72 million. And if I now publish, the updated one will be published. So with this, we complete the visualization and Power BI service as well. And of course, as I said, in the Power BI service also, there are a lot of things. Like for example, this, what is this? We had the deployment pipeline and all of that. Like how do we create a true source of data set, and from there how can we create multiple reports and all of that. There are so many things here as well. And how do we migrate data from one environment to another environment and all of that. But I think we'll stop here, because to complete the Power BI, entire Power BI end to end, it takes at least 40 hours of time, right? So in 8 hours, whatever I could complete, I've done. So if you have any questions till now. Pawan asked, do you conduct advanced training on this? Yes, definitely I do. I'll give you information on that in a while. Before that, do you have any questions? And Siddesh asks, if I want to add more data in the existing data, how can I do it? Of course, you have to change it in the source data itself, right? Like just I did, like that you need to do. And in case of real data, so data comes from database and it generates the report, and how it comes in interactive dashboard with new data refresh each time. Yes, here I'm showing manually refreshing it, right? But if you schedule in the Power BI service, a schedule as in on that particular time, it will automatically refresh, right? So if you schedule 48 times a day, every half an hour, if you schedule, every half an hour, it will automatically refresh. So whenever there is new data within that half an hour period, it will pull that data and your report is always updated. And also there are a few things, there is something called data alert. So based on change in the data, you can also notify people via mail that see, you are subscribed to this report and this report has new data, please look into it. You can do that as well in the Power BI service. If someone download the Power BI desktop, can they see my report? If yes, then how? Yes, they can. Once you publish this report and share it with other people, they'll see something like this. And if they go to this file, and here download this file option is there. So they can download. If they download, they'll get the exact same PBX file like this. They can download. How do we implement row level security in the report? Like USA head only sees USA country data. Yes, there is option to implement that, 𝐿𝐴. It is called as row level security itself. So, but yes, due to time constraints, so not covering in this, but yes, that's it. That's actually a very valid question, right? So here, this report or dashboard has all countries information and all manufacturers information. In organization, we'll have a hierarchy, and people have to see only a specific set of data. They should not be seeing all the data. So we can restrict that also based on their role. Okay, not with Pro 1. My question is how Power BI report comes in our application UI. I didn't get your question, Sija. What is it? How Power BI report comes in our application UI? Means, okay, if you have your own application. Okay. So if you have your own application, I was showing you here, remember yesterday, this one, the embedded Power BI service. You have to use this. there will be an ID for each and every report. You need to give this ID to the UI developer, and they'll install something called this Power BI embedded service. They'll install wherever the website or application is hosted. And through that ID, they'll connect to your Power BI service, and your visuals are shown within that area. Pawan asks, can we edit the PBX in Notepad like paginated reports, which format it is in? I don't think you'll be able to edit it in the Notepad, Pawan, because it is mostly in the XML format. It is always good to make changes in the Power BI desktop itself. First of all, why do you want to complicate things when we have a very easy way of doing it? Why do you want to open it in Notepad and edit that Excel and all of that? Anyway, if you do not have any questions, thank you so much for joining this session. See you then. Bye.